In the quiet village of Umachika, where the sunrise painted golden lines on the red clay roofs, lived a farmer named Obina. He was a man known far and wide for his strength and diligence, but also for the unyielding pride that ruled his heart. His farmland stretched beyond what the eyes could see, and every harvest season carts filled with yam and cassava rolled out of his compound. People respected him, but they also feared him. He was the kind of man whose silence could command a crowd, whose anger could break a spirit. Even his wife, Ngozi, learned long ago that silence was the only peace she could afford in her husband's house. Obina and Ngozi had 3 children: Abura, the eldest daughter, gentle and wise; Chijioke, the only son, whose dreams reached beyond the soil he tilled; and Adaora, the youngest, whose laughter once made the whole compound come alive. Their home seemed complete, until pride began to sow discord among them. One morning during the planting season, the rain had just returned after months of dryness. Obina was in the field, waiting for Chijioke to bring back the new cutlass from the blacksmith. The boy came running through the mud, drenched and breathing hard, clutching the cutlass tightly. "Papa, I'm sorry. The blacksmith delayed me," he panted. But before he could explain further, Obina's voice thundered like a storm. "You think life will wait for your laziness? You think the ground will yield to a man who forgets his duty?" "Papa, I said I'm sorry." "Enough." Obina struck the boy across the face and Chijioke fell into the mud. Ngozi gasped and tried to run to her son, but Obina's fierce glare froze her in place. "Stay out of this, woman," he barked. Abura, trembling, knelt beside her brother. "Papa, please, he didn't mean." "Keep quiet," he shouted again, and the words seemed to shake the air. That night the family ate in silence. The air was thick with unspoken pain. When the moon rose, Ngozi turned to her husband and spoke softly. "Obina, the children are growing. Please let love guide your hands. Don't sow pain in them. One day the seeds you plant will grow into something we can't control." But Obina only grunted. "If pain will make them strong, then let it be my seed." Those words hung in the air like smoke, and though the night swallowed them, they would return to haunt him in time. Years passed and Chijioke's heart grew restless. He often sat under the mango tree, staring at the hills as if something beyond them called his name. One evening his mother joined him. "My son," Ngozi said, "I see a storm in your eyes. What troubles you?" Chijioke sighed deeply. "Mama, I want more than this farm life. I want to learn. I want to go to the city to make something of myself. There's more waiting for me than planting and harvesting." Ngozi looked at him with the sadness only a mother can carry. "The city is not as kind as this soil, my son. It gives light but steals peace. But if God has planted the desire in your heart, I will not stop you. Just promise me one thing, that you will not forget where your roots lie." He smiled faintly. "I promise, Mama." When he told Obina of his plans, the old man's fury erupted like thunder. "You want to leave this land that raised you? For what, dreams? No son of mine will abandon his father's farm to chase illusions." "Papa, please," Chijioke said, his voice calm but firm. "I feel God leading me to something greater. Let me try." Obina's voice hardened like iron. "If you walk out of this house, never return. I will not recognize a son who turns his back on his father's sweat." Chijioke looked at his mother one last time. She said nothing, but her eyes spoke volumes. She gave a faint nod, the silent approval of a mother torn between love and loyalty. Chijioke walked into the night, his heart heavy but free. Weeks became months. Ngozi's health began to fail. Worry consumed her, and Ebra did her best to hold the home together, though their father's anger grew heavier by the day. He refused to speak of Chijioke as if silence could erase him. But silence only made the pain louder. Then came the drought. The rain stopped early that year, and Obina's great farmlands began to crack under the sun's fury. The yam vines withered, the cassava roots dried, and despair crept into the once proud man's heart. One afternoon, Abra found her father sitting alone, staring at the barren soil. "Papa," she said gently, "maybe you should send someone to the city to look for Chijioke. He might help." Obina's eyes hardened. That boy chose his path. Let him reap what he has sown. Abra's voice trembled. "Papa, we are all reaping your pride." He glared at her, but her words struck deep. For the first time, Obina began to see the emptiness around him. His pride had built walls so high that even his own children could not climb them. 3 years passed. Umachika began to change. Many young men left for the city, chasing new lives. One bright morning, a shiny black car arrived at the market square. Children gathered, whispering and pointing. When the man stepped out, tall and confident, some gasped. "Is that not Obina's son? The one who left?" It was indeed Chijioke, clean, well-dressed, with quiet humility in his eyes. He came bearing gifts for the church, the school, and even the village well. But he did not go home. Instead, he lodged at the small inn near the market. When Ebra heard the news, she ran to him, tears streaming down her face. "Brother," she cried, embracing him tightly. Chijioke smiled faintly. "Ebra, you've grown." "What about Papa?" she asked. He hesitated. "I heard he is still the same man." "He is older now," she said. "And Mama, she fell sick last year. She still prays for you every night." That night, Chijioke couldn't sleep. Memories flooded his mind, the fields, the slap, his mother's tears. His heart wrestled with anger and forgiveness. By dawn he made his choice. He would go home. Obina was sitting on a stool outside when Chijioke appeared. The old man froze. The hoe fell from his hand. For a long moment they stared at each other in silence. "So," Obina said quietly, "you decided to remember the soil that birthed you?" "I never forgot, Papa," Chijioke said. "I only followed where life led me." "Life?" Obina scoffed. "You mean disobedience? You left when I warned you. And yet, it was in leaving that I found what God planted in me," Chijioke said softly. "I slept in the streets, I worked in warehouses, and I struggled, but God lifted me. Not because I was wiser, but because I refused to hate you." Obina's lips trembled. Pride pressed against his chest like a stone. From the doorway Ngozi appeared, frail and leaning on a stick. When her eyes met her son's, she burst into tears. My son has come home." Chijioke ran to her, holding her tightly. "Mama, I kept my promise. I didn't forget my roots." Obina turned away and walked into the barn. He couldn't bear the weight in his chest. That night, as Ngozi prayed, her voice carried through the quiet room. "Lord, heal my family. Let pride not destroy what you have restored." But heaven seemed to wait for one more breaking. Weeks later, Obina collapsed in the field. When they carried him home, his breath was shallow. The village healer examined him and sighed. "His heart is weak. He needs peace more than medicine." As Obina lay on his bamboo bed, he whispered, "Where is Chijioke?" Ngozi called for him. When he entered, Obina looked at him through weary eyes. "My son," he said softly, "I sowed pride and reaped loneliness.